Oh, there we go. All right. So hello and welcome everyone. I'm Heather Krasansky and this is Monumental Millionaire episode number 3. And this week we have the gorgeous PollyAnna Brown on, who is my entrepreneur soul sister, and we share a birthday together. We also share a birthday with Laura's son. So we were talking just before we went live about how cool that is and how fun that is and how, you know, you're in a room with a bunch of Tauruses. So watch out, Laura. Stephanie's a few minutes late. She had a TV appearance this morning in traffic back to the hotel. So, like I said, I'm Heather Krasansky. I am a coach, and Laura is joining us as per usual. Is at sales helps leads in their business, and PollyAnna is our beautiful guest this week. So you introduce yourself.
Everybody, I'm PollyAnna Brown, also known as the Biz, and I am a storytellist and consultant. So help entrepreneurs to really up-level their marketing through storytelling, community building, to build that longevity.
So exciting talking to you. We get on the for hours upon hours, so we have to kind of, you're going to have to fight for some time here, I think. So just hop right in. Yes, hop right in. PollyAnna, why don't you let me know what your, it's going to be a big surprise for all of us.
Yes, so I really wanted an audience when I was picking my topic. And the thing that kept coming to me was the increase in the storytelling as you up-level your biz. You're kind of out of the trenches, you're building consistent income, you're doing really well. But what I see happen to a lot of my entrepreneurs, and I have to give them a hug because it can be a little traumatic for them, is they start to feel distant from their audience. In the beginning, they felt really acting all the time, usually daily. And now their time's a little more stressed. They don't get as much interaction as they used to. And storytelling has been a great way for them to release a commit way to and to have the same kind of impact that they did in the beginning. Their audience grows. So I see successful entrepreneurs use storytelling to audiences of millions and still have that direct, intimate, one person who's invested in them. And so they don't lose kind of the momentum that they've built, which creates amazing longevity in their business. So I thought that would be a great topic to talk about.
Yay! I'm that topic because I love telling stories. And I do it best through the written word. That's what I love to do. Love writing. I write, and I start. I've been doing this for quite a long time because it helps me gather my thought. I'm somebody where my mind goes a million a minute to really focus and to really bring those stories together. But it's also something that I used to do a lot of public speaking, and it was something that really helped on stage, was telling these stories. And it's funny because I've always been a very different type of speaker than most of the other people up on stage. I just sort of get up. A lot of times I'd even pull up a chair and just be like, hey, it's just us hanging out, and we're going to tell you a story, and this is how we're going to interact. And a lot, right? I mean, you know, as a coach, this is something that I always say I coach them prescriptive. So I will tell a story and I'll say, well, what did you get from that? And different people will get different things from the exact same story, which is, I think, is really cool because there's those layers and those depths. And I know you really teach people how to bring that out and how to pull that out. Oh.
I love this because this is what I do, like when I coach, is when people hear a story, they can relate to it. And when they can relate and see themselves in it, they can then take action from it. And I also find that sometimes, like, my brain, like if you give me like a 6-step thing, I'm at step 2, I'd run off in the other direction. So it's really bad.
No, I'm the same way. I think privately, yeah.
But if you tell me a story, I'll lean in, I'll listen to the whole thing. Find that when I'm trying to describe, I am like brain twisting for me, ads and sales funnels. but then I start to explain to my clients what to do with it. It's like, of how somebody else. Prominently how I see it show up.
Yeah. So, I mean, how do we kind of, and I see that show up all the time, and I think we talked a little bit last week about pedestal effect that people start to feel as people, you know, really start to grow in their business, and you can start to become really disconnected from your community. So interesting in how we can continue to connect. I mean, I know, like, I'm in any groups anymore. I know, like, there was crazy drama happening in Facebook groups the other day, and I was like, I have no clue what's going on. I know all my friends, like, got scammed by somebody, and I don't even know what's going on, right? Literally no clue. And sometimes I like it better that way because I tend to get really wrapped up in it. And, you know, you heard around come after you. But, you know, as you start to grow and you start to distance yourself, and you have to, right? You have to. Because I can wake up to over 100 notifications and be like, I don't even know what to do with this, and I'll just shut down. And so my lovely assistant goes in, and the ones you have to deal with, the majority of them are things like, you know, people inviting you to events, or inviting you into groups, and tagging you in posts that mean nothing, or, like, you know, whatever else they sort through. And that's how I've started to do it, is she sorts, and she hyperlinks to the particular post. And I actually have a newsfeed eradicator. I can't even look at my Facebook newsfeed anymore. So I can pop into my own group, but I can't see everything that's coming through because I will sit there for hours, right? And then I won't get all my stuff done that I need to get done. And so it's been a really good strategy for me to continue to remain connected to the people who matter. I also have a list of people that I love to just sort of pop in and chat with so often, and I'll just shoot them a message like, hey, what's going on? Or I'll check out their profile since I can't see them popping up in my feed, and be like, what's going on in your life? You know, what's happening with this? What's happening with that? Maybe I send them a resource around something, and that's really helped get close to that tight-knit community. But if you have the people, my work is one-on-one, and so that's how I built my business. More of, you know, similar to what when Stephanie's just popping on. So we'll fill you in, Stephanie. Building this more on, like, you've got thousands upon thousands of people. I don't know how people manage that, I guess. So yeah. So Stephanie, just to fill you in. So PollyAnna's here, and we're talking about how storytelling, how that really keeps you connected in with your audience, and how as you grow, more and more distance from your audience, like as far as you're not on social media as much, you have a team doing those things for you, and how do you still manage to keep that connection with them? Yeah.
You want to answer? You want me to try?
Yeah, actually, you know what? You have a completely different business model. Just saying how, you know, I know how I do it. I work, most of my clients are one-on-one, and I don't really online sales funnel thing. That's not really my thing. And I've tried to do it so many times, and every time I hate it, right? And so I'm just like, I'm not doing it anymore. And, you know, and so I was saying, I don't know how somebody does it, somebody like you who has tens of thousands of people in her community, and you're selling a whole bunch of small dollar products to make up your income versus a smaller amount of larger dollar products, right? So
Okay, so connection, we're talking about connection through storytelling?
Yeah.
Well, it is a struggle to like keep that visibility in the community. I know that you know, as you expand, you get busy doing other things. Sorry, you can see my unmade hotel room bed in the back.
Where's the house?
It just, you guys are totally hanging out with me. I'm in where am I? I'm in St. Augustine. I just came back from like a live interview in Jacksonville, so I apologize for being late for starters. But anyway, I think it's a little bit of a struggle at times to find balance in how can I still be myself? How can I still be present? How can I still be helpful? How can I still serve? And then you're being pulled in a lot of other directions. And so for me, especially, I give a lot of stuff away. Like, it's really funny. I had an interview earlier this week, and somebody was like, "Well, how do you do it all?" It's like, I don't.
Yeah.
Like, and they're like, well, you know, what do you do to create success in your company? And I laughed at that too, because I really don't do anything. And they're like, how does that even work, right? And I'm like, well, I mean, I basically, if I find myself doing things over and over and over again, then I look to create a system that's going to do that for me so that I can do the things that I need to do, which is visibility is a big factor of that. Like, no one can be Stephanie Nikolic, or nobody can be Laura Wright, or nobody can be Heather Prestansky. So that, you can't lose that element of who you are in business. There's certain things that need to come from you. And so by hiring out other things that are not in your zone of genius, whether it's building your sales funnels or writing your email copy or whatever, it allows you the space to be present. And it's not in a way that's like tugging at your time, right? It's like, I just will go post, like a client of mine told me earlier, she's like, you're online all the time. And I'm not. We are strategic with mapping out our content. Yeah. I do approve everything before it ever goes out. And then in addition to that, I'm very much in the moment. So if something comes up, and sometimes it's like a slew of things at one time, and then sometimes I won't post something for a whole day or 2 days even. You know, and so I just do it as it comes, and that way it's, you're in the moment, you're in the space, your audience knows that you're authentic. That's, you know, and share, because I feel like a lot of times, like, as you grow in this business, in this world, especially the online space, it's like perception's the new reality, right? So it's like you get to a certain level of success, and then not this real person anymore. Like, I broke my flip-flop yesterday on my way to drop the baby off at the nanny, and then I burnt my finger on a straight on, a flattening iron. And so real stuff happens, and like, if we can talk about those real life experiences, it brings us back down to reality, because what our clients want to know, and I know that might be like, what? But it's so true.
And that we're all the same. It's funny, Stephanie, because people, where I'd ask them questions about like, what most resonated with you about what I shared, and I think they're gonna pull out some like amazing sales tip, and they're like, your son looks so happy, you guys look like a happy family. I'm like, okay, so I'm only gonna post about my family now. But I think that when people can see that they're the same, I think it's also like part of why I drew together a group of women for my mastermind was that there's this vacuum that happens when you do a lot of one-on-one work, and I kept finding that every client I had was bringing up the same problem. And I'm like, I wish you could talk with each other and hear the fact that what you're struggling with, are struggling with that same damn thing. And if you knew that you all were struggling with it, I think we get in this vacuum and we think, I'm the only one that's struggling. Everybody else is like amazing and online, and they're filling their programs, and it's so damn easy. And I'm like, no, like, these 7 people, you're all having the same struggles. And I think to tell the stories of your struggle. And again, it's not about being in struggle, but it's about the reality. Then your clients hear that, you hear that, and there's more connection.
Yeah.
You know, in all reality, like, I very authentically shared that I was over $100,000 worth of debt in my previous business, that I had experienced this intense transformation by doing some internal work. Well, not some, like a lot of it. And I had this really, like, I can't even explain it, but it was like the most transformational thing that had ever happened to me. And I'm totally not real. I'm like very real. But when I was able to overcome my own personal demons, my own self-doubt, my own self-sabotage, that debt wasn't that big thing that was paralyzing or holding me back anymore. But I was in this position where in the online world, I thought, well, you can only show the pretty brand, the polished up brand, and like you have to act like you have it all together. And that's not really real.
No.
That's not real at all. And that's not relatable. Like people relate more to me when I share that when I was becoming a single mom, it was terrifying. Like I had no idea how I was going to make business and baby work, but I just kept putting one foot in front of the other. And that allows your audience to connect with you on that human level. We are all human.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's important not to lose that.
Absolutely. And I mean, just look at us here right now, right? Like, I mean, usually I'm kind of set up in the corner, have my lights on, everything else. But I was telling PollyAnna before we got on this call, I mean, my dog, obviously, she was attacked by another dog. And luckily she pulled through, but we're still dealing with, you know, she's just coming off of fentanyl right now. And she's had fentanyl in her system for 2 weeks. And she is so loopy this morning that I called my husband in tears. I was like, can you please come home for lunch at like 10:30? Because I know that you don't usually come home for lunch at until like 1, but I can't do this. I would turn around and have a flat iron in my hair, right? Like trying to not look so greasy this morning for you all because I haven't showered in days. Right, thank you. Yeah, I showered today. And I would turn around and she's sitting in the cat box because she's so loopy and messed up. And I was like, what are you doing? And I'm like trying to get her out. And then she was like running up the stairs and she can't do stairs. You know, and she'd like run and just go crazy. And then she'd be like begging to go out and I'd throw her outside and she's begging to come right back in. And so I'm running around the house doing this, right? And so I'm like, I'm not even going to be able to get set off at my normal spot. I was just sort of like going crazy. And so, and then there's Stephanie, you're sitting in the room with an unmade bed behind you. You're like, whatever, I just flew in like from this interview. And it's just sort of like, well, that's cool, you know, because at the end of the day, it's real life, right? And I think that I really had that perception in the beginning. I think it comes from my corporate life because I was always told you have to dress really fancy. And I was always like the black sheep because I don't wear designer clothing. I'm not into fashion. It's not my thing, right? Everyone else on my team wore designer clothing and they'd be like almost looking at me like, what are you wearing? And I'm like, it's fair, right? Like, I don't even care, you know? And so I almost think that that perception came from that world for me because it was so pretty and polished advertising and it was very, very pretty and polished, right? And it was very much so not real. And perceptions kind of come from because we all live in very much so the same way. And yet we kind of see ourselves as being this, oh my goodness, this person is living this incredible life where nothing ever, how does that even happen for them? And it's like, nobody lives like that. Nobody.
No.
And if they say they are, they're lying.
Full of it. They're
right?
so full of it.
Yeah, it's like saying like, oh, I don't get PMS or something like that. Like, no, you're lying. You're lying.
How many of us have thrown on like a little lipstick and a fancy shirt and you're still wearing your pajama bottoms?
Oh.
Like,
or like no bottoms. Like, right?
And I'm lucky if the shirt gets on and it's done. I mean,
right?
like, let's be real, right?
Right? Right? Oh my goodness.
You know, red eyeing at home from San Fran.
Yeah. I have like dog goo on my shirt right now because she's been like leaking this disgusting goo. And I picked her up so many times and I was like, screw it. They're not gonna be able to see it. It's on my sleeve. I just won't let
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Now we see a real person.
Yeah, yeah. I'm full of dog goo. It's no big.
We actually did this with one of my clients. She was having trouble selling. And the problem that was happening was her stuff was so perfect.
Yeah.
And so we actually started having her do some of those, like, I just ran out of the gym, my hair is pulled back, sweaty lives. And it started helping people connect because there was a disconnect because it was that feeling of saying, and I think that's what you're bringing up, PollyAnna, is that like helping to have the story connect us all. Like we all just chimed into the same damn thing. Thrown up on us somewhere.
Absolutely. I call it being the approachable expert because we all have that like talking head idea of what we should be, but when we see it, we're like, what are they doing? Like that, it doesn't make sense because we feel like we can't talk to them, right? Like they're this huge so cool and so refined, and why would they ever want to talk to us? You make sales doing that,
right.
you know, like it doesn't work anymore for the connection that people are craving. And this has been a trend that we've been seeing over the past couple years, that people just really crave that connection. They want to know that they can talk to you and you can help them, and that, you know, you're there for them, right? So we're not just selling for us, not selling goods, we're actually selling real transformation and stuff that legitimately helps. And the best way to do that is by being your awesome, beautiful human self. Because I feel like itching my nose because I'm at my friend's place, because my place has 2 very active pit bulls who I love very, very much, but they don't let mommy work for anything.
Right.
If mommy wants to watch a Netflix show, I can watch it, but if as soon as I'm working, no. So so I've had one, she just loves to cuddle, and so my entire face is covered in cat hair. I'm like, oh, it itches so bad.
Oh. It's actually really funny you say that with the cats, because I did a similar thing to this. It wasn't a live thing. It was more like we were masterminding, and me and the other girl, we both had cats, and my door wasn't on at the time. I had taken it off to paint it. And this is the only room with the door. It's like, it's really weird. My bedroom closed because it's a really old house, and I love the original doors, and I refuse to replace it. You know, it's just me and my husband. Nobody's going to come barging in. Who cares? And so my cat would come across just like this and turn around and move every time you were on. And then, you know, that head pop up. Fun. And so my cat walk, because fun hours recorded, you know, down about the way, so that your point, because maybe it came out more authentic, better.
So yeah, one of my clients said something awesome the other day. She posted online. She's like, I love when the 7-figure folks have spelling mistakes. They make you feel relatable, and I love how you said it, PollyAnna, that like approachable expert, because I think if people really get you and they feel like you're real and they can understand you, they will listen to you. And I think that the whole key of what we're trying to do is help people step up and do something different in their life, whatever way we do it. If they can't, I always have people that are like, I teach a lot of outreach and going and finding as well as marketing. Approach me all the time because I'm always like, I'm super approachable, come
right.
DM me, or like you want to say that and be available, and you can tell that through a story. You can tell it by being visible. It's just be there, be real. And also, there's a time and place for polish. When you want to go stand up on your stage, polish on, you know, but don't worry about it if you're not.
Yeah, I mean, I've got up on this stage. I think I told a story like crazy, like purple printed leggings, because that was my past. Like that was the company that I ran, and so I showed up in a t-shirt, and everyone else is wearing suits. And the girl with the crazy purple and yellow leggings, and everybody remembered me after. And I don't think that you should do that to try to stand out if that's not you. Right? Like if you're the person who gets dressed up every day and you're the person who wears designer clothes every day, then that's how you should show up. Because here's the other thing too, right? I mean, spelling mistakes. Now we're going to have a whole slew of people making spelling mistakes on purpose because they think that this is going to make them look approachable. Like, no, that's not what this is about. Stop trying to figure out how to, right? Just like show up as you, okay? And stop trying to figure out the how to, because that's when you're going to come across as really inauthentic. And that's when you're going to come across as like intentionally making spelling. You just watch, right? I mean, something's going to happen and we're going to be like, no, right? So
it's true, just being absolutely authentic. And I think, PollyAnna, that's your help people crack and not interview you. How do you help people take the stuff that's real and make it into a story that's actually compelling? I think that's always like the question, because I think in our own minds, we all think we're fabulous, but like, how do you make those stories actually connect for people?
Well, we are.
I know. I was like, bitch, I
But no, I'm so glad that you asked because I wanted to share that. So that's perfect. So what I do is I have a really traumatic background. You wouldn't know it by looking at me, but I have a highly traumatic background. And everyone who comes to me says, I have so much trauma, I feel like no one can relate to me, or I don't have anything at all, so I feel invalid, right? These are two ginormous ends of the spectrum, and stories to tell. Yeah. If you have lived longer than 5 minutes, you've got a story. So it's really cool. So what you do is you pay attention to who your audience is with them. Know their pain in particular. What they're struggling with and what those experiences look like for them. And then find those parallels in your story. Where have you struggled similarly? Or if you helped someone who has struggled similarly, and how did that affect you, right? And you share those pieces. You provide those pieces of your story in a way that they can say, oh my gosh, she gets me. And that's the biggest thing. You want your audience to feel understood, because when they feel understood, it's this magnetic thing that happens that just opens up a world of possibilities for them and for you. Because what I've noticed is that the people who really feel connected, who really feel that draw and that magnetism, transformations are through the freaking roof because they're so emotionally invested. Yeah. Which, who doesn't want those testimonials? Because those are freaking cool, not to mention the impact. So holla to that. But those are the main things that you want to do. And even little silly things. Like, it doesn't have to be serious all the time. It doesn't have to be, you know, a big, long story. It can be like on the way over here. So we feed the cats every day because my poor friend, her dad has cancer. So we're taking care of the cats while she's taking care of him. And so we were like, oh, we forgot to feed the cats today because we were trying to take care of everything else at home before this. And so we rushed over here and he was with me and he was like, I want to kiss you, but you have stuff on your lips. And I'm like, kiss me anyway. And he's like, did you bring touch-up stuff? I was like, no, I don't care.
That's so cute.
Smudgy lips, you know, those little things are what make people fall in love with you. So I just did my first video in my, excuse my language for a moment, I have a new video series that's called You're Fucking Up. And it has really kicked off, and I was shocked how much it did, just because it was real. It was loving, but it was poking fun at some of these like marketing mistakes that we see that are really common that people have no idea that they're making. And I was talking to my hubby and I was like, I want to make something that they're really gonna love and get, that's not gonna be mean, but it's still gonna doing that. And so this is kind of what birthed out of it. And it's those authentic moments that you can share. So you're being wise or super funny or super friendly, whatever that is, just sharing those pieces and letting your audience see themselves in you or in your stories, whatever they are about, is really going to be that resonating factor and build that platform.
So for most seems pretty simple, but I'm like, I tell people the more you that you become, your peeps, like the people that need you the most, will resonate with you. Yeah. So like when, you know, I mean, and it's kind of like an evolution. Like I think each day we probably become a little bit more comfortable in who we are as human beings, right? There's always, like at some point, there's always some level of, can I do this? Like, is this okay? And then like, those are the moments that you probably should do it, because when you press the submit button or you press the post button or whatever it is, like those are the things, and there's tears sometimes running down my face if I'm typing something up that's so real and raw and in the moment, and it's something that I have to say, and then it gets the biggest responses simply because it is so real and it's not this scripted life. And you know, or even if it's something like where I'm talking about what happened on the way home from our red eye flight on San Fran, where I was covered in baby puke, and like that was like, I was like, we made it, but like, oh my God, we're both covered in baby puke, you know, like that's real life. And so I think it's just important to say that you don't have to be anybody but who you are genuinely who you are for the people that need you the most to resonate with you and become and your raving fans, and then as a result your clients, you know, because the more they feel like they get to know you, the more that they will respond to you, or opposite things can happen.
Yeah.
I did a mastermind yesterday and they're like, you know, there's a couple of emails you sent out that have like raised a lot of emotion, and I'm like, yeah, that's the point. Like I either, you know, I would actually rather them exit my list because they don't feel like they're a good fit than just to hang around. Stand out in a crowd of everyone that's just, you know, trying to fit in a lot of cases. But I don't. You're guys. In my world, because the last time I checked, nobody's name. They're like, oh snap, right? And then it starts making a heck of a lot more sense. So I feel like, you know, maybe like it's okay to be you, and it will be an evolution of a process. It's not like just one day you just like drop everything and you're like, I'm now me, you know,
right.
Like be that person you are to your friends and your family behind the scenes. Use the same language, like, because then you build consistency amongst your brand and your messaging and your imaging. And then when someone sees me in person, they're like, I get it now. It all connects together because you're the same person, like, line persona to be. You're identical, you know, you now, and like it all comes together and it creates this harmony, and then it's like it's almost like, okay, that was like that last piece of validation they needed to know that like we're real people, right?
And that's truly what sells too. Like when you see somebody online and they are this thing, and then you meet them in person, like every time I walk up to someone at an event, like I know my people and I can walk up and hug them and they look like online. They all, you know, we sound the same, we're the same. If I walk past somebody, it's because you're showing up differently online than you are in person. Also, I love, like it evolves. Like my voice and how strong I speak and what I say is different as even like allow yourself to jump into where you are, be the most you, and it will evolve. You will get stronger in your opinions, you'll get deeper in your conviction, you'll speak in your most you way. That's a thing.
Yeah. And you evolve as a human, so of course your persona is going to evolve because you're growing and you're evolving every single day, right? And so the way that you're showing up, if you're being really true to who you are, then that's going to start changing, and people will take notice. And some people will be like, "Oh, you changed," right? You know, when people go through massive transformation, whether it's like a big weight loss or whether it's this or whether it's that, you always have friends in your oncoming world who says, and I don't really like that change. And it's like, well, cool. Like, we're not friends anymore. That's fine. We've outgrown each other. The same is going to be true for your community as well. You're going to outgrow some people in your community, or they're going to, you know, they don't need what you're offering anymore in total, because you're like, just like you do in real life. I mean, the online, like, business world, whether you're online, you set custom in a different way. You have to continue. People think, well, I'm going to get to this place to sort of kick back and relax. Like, it's not really the way it works. You're consistently attracting and detracting new people as you continually grow.
You mentioned something really, really key to where I am at this point, because for growth in general, personal growth, professional growth, everything, it brings up a lot of change. It kicks up a lot of dirt, right?
Yeah.
You come out of the woodwork, you're like, what the heck just happened there? Like, is this for real? You know? And it's like, I feel like every step of the way, this type of stuff happens when you're in the process of the next step. So it could be in the form of your best friend approaching you in a negative way saying, I don't really understand what you're doing and nor do I really, like it or support you. And you have to keep going. We have a mission to serve. We have a message to share. We have a vision that we're going after. And nobody has to agree with the way that you do things. If you know inside that you're operating out of integrity and every night you put your head on the pillow and you go, feel good about. So it's something that you have to feel confident about who you are and who you've become, because it brings up a lot of stuff. It, hands down, like, we're all in a position of growth right at this moment. We're every day we're growing. If we're not growing, we're dying. Hello, who wants to do that, right? But like at some points, you're kind of really taking that leap to the next step. And in that period of transition, a lot of uncomfortable stuff comes up. And the only way that I can describe it is the universe is testing you. It's saying, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you really ready for this? Because if you can get through this, something really magical, and I have goosebumps talking about you on the other side. And that could be in the form of outgrowing a relationship with a client that you have, where maybe it's an uncomfortable feeling to have to say, we're not a good fit anymore. It's a personal relationship, or it's someone that has helped you grow your business to a certain point, but they're not necessarily the person that's going to help you take it to the next. It comes across as if, oh, she's this, that, or the other thing, and it's not really that at all. But we're put on this earth to serve to our highest purpose, and the only person that's going to prohibit that growth is ourselves. Yeah. So growth brings up some interesting change in all facets of life. So if anybody that's here with us, or any of you guys, you gotta keep going, right? Like, don't stop, don't let any of the negative stuff that probably has a lot to do with whatever that other person on the other side is dealing with, reflect on you and your mission to serve the world.
I think too, we're almost hardwired to try to figure out why things are happening. And if you can kind of let go of that, then you drive, because it's that ration that we have, that ability to ration, and that sort of fear that we have. And those are built in for a reason. Those are built in to protect us. But a story I have, one of my friends, she just bought her first house the other day, and she's been talking about buying a house forever and a day since I really started hanging out with her again when I started moving back to Chatham, and back 8-9 months ago. And she's been talking about it. She asked me if I would go see it with her on Monday, and I said, yeah, of course, I'd love to do that, right? And so we go, and I'm like, this is perfect for you. And she's like, I know, right? I know. But she also brought somebody from work, another friend, and and he talked her out of it. He completely talked her out of it. And she called me back later that afternoon, just in tears. She's like, I don't think I'm going to do it. Going back and forth. And then she talked to her dad, who's an accountant, and said, well, like, you can afford it. You're just freaking out, right? And so she was back and forth all day, like for 8 hours, 9 hours, and right? And she was texting me this entire time. And I'm like, it's cool. What do you want? What do you want? And finally I said to her, here's what you need to do. And this might sound really stupid. For a big decision like buying a house, you need to take a coin. Heads, you put in an offer. Tails, you don't. Sit back, and you need to wait, and you need to see how you feel when that coin lands. Are you disappointed, or are you excited? And if you're excited and somewhat nervous, that's okay. Like, go that way. But if you're disappointed, then And she said, I did 2 out of 3, and both times they came up, put an offer, and now I have a big smile on my face. What are you doing? Put an offer, and she bought the house, right? Only after she was able to let go of what, and just really and truly tap into her gut, right? And it was something so stupid as a coin flip that allowed her to listen to her gut, right? It's an exercise I use all the time. I love it. I think a book by Gabby Bernstein. But something so simple, when you just let go of that, because that's what she was doing. She was just rationing herself. I do it, should I not? And she swung back and forth so many times, and it just drove her crazy. And
don't let somebody else's story become your story if it's not.
Yeah.
Whenever someone tells me, like, oh, well, so-and-so put their input in, I don't think I'm going to do this. I'm like, are they your ideal client? Who doesn't like my new packages? I'm like, is your mom your ideal client? Yeah, so probably not. Right, maybe. The story is someone else's, don't buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true.
Absolutely. I like to always tell my people that it's an environment and you're constantly changing. Don't get married to anything because you want to be able to evolve and grow. And there's this idea that I'm going to pick my brand, I'm going to pick my colors, I'm going to pick this, and it's going to all stay the same forever. No, that's incredibly boring. Like I picked colors a year ago. 4 months after that, I was like, I hate these. And then I wanted to pick new ones, and now I'm picking new ones again. So it's one of those things that as your business grows and evolves, and your message, because your message should evolve with your business and what you're doing, and you should be looking at your ideal client and letting that evolve. Because if I had the same ideal client now that I did when I began, I would be driving myself nuts because I'd have lots of people that I didn't know I couldn't work with well, right? Yeah. Those inputs and those variables that we receive data and feedback from, and I like to use emotional data. Like, does this feel good? And if not, why doesn't it feel good? And if you can't figure it out, just know it doesn't feel good and go the other way. But having that kind of feedback and that kind of stuff to really inform your decisions is going to help you. And, oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Show.
One of the other things, too, that was such a big deal that I saw lots of my clients going through, and I know probably you guys have had the same thing, is people have this idea where their entire business is like this one encapsulated thing, and it's got to be this perfect, almost like manifesto of what they think they should be offering to the most people possible.
Yeah.
And it's really about being that authentic self and talking the way you talk and being all of yourself in whatever way that is. You know, like later today, I'm probably going to be naked walking around in my robe, and that's just going to be me for the rest of the day. You know? So, and I totally do live streams like in my robe and stuff. Right. Because that's me and that's real, and that's the beautiful part of being an entrepreneur is you don't have to be someone else. You don't have to fit someone else's box. And when you give yourself that permission, you give your clients that permission, which is one of the greatest gifts that we can really give them.
Yeah. You know what's really funny about that is I've been changing my hair. It's been red for as I've been married to my husband. I did it right before our wedding, right? So about 3 years it's been red. Well, honestly, like my branding comes from my hair because I was clashing with all the colors that I love, right? And and it's so funny because I've been sitting back and going, well, then I have to redo my website because I'm going to clash with my website and it's going to look ugly, right? And which is so ridiculous. But I have had so many people as I bring this up, they're like, well, no, everyone knows you by your red hair. I don't. They know me by what I say. Like my hair is just like whatever, right? I mean, maybe it helps you pick me out a little bit faster online or whatever, but it doesn't mean anything. We get so wrapped up in all of these different things. I mean, like if Stephanie wasn't blonde tomorrow, if she went black, I'd be like, you're still Stephanie, whatever, right? Yeah, she's like, I would not go black. But, but that's, you know, I used to keep my hair dark brown, almost as dark as yours, PollyAnna, like dark. And my hair naturally is pretty light, but I love the dark. It goes well with the blue eyes. Like it just pops. And I'm like, and it's so much less maintenance. This I got to do every 2 to 3 weeks, right? Or it turns peach. And so I'm just like, you know what? I'm at this stage where I've got a lot going on and I'm just going to dye my hair brown and not worry about it anymore. And everyone's freaking out. I can't even tell you how many people who are like, you can't do that, and like freaking out for me. And I'm like, well, you know, I may just show up with dark hair next week. What's that?
Do a hair reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marketing moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because I'm a pretty private person. And so like those sorts of things are not something I would just show up with dark hair one day. Right? Like that wouldn't necessarily be me to be like, oh, big hair reveal, which is like totally cool. But it's the same with the same way that I show up to my friends. right? I mean, for them, one of my girlfriends, she just went from red to blonde. And this was a big deal for her. And she's naturally quite dark. And she just like fretted over this forever. And she asked everyone's opinion and all of that, but that's her process and that's how she does it, right? I've never been like that. I just do what I want and that's fine. I'll just show up the next day and I'll be like, you don't like it? Well, so, you know, and that's just, it might turn blue. I don't know, right? Like, who cares? So, so funny. But I think we're sitting around like 47 minutes, which is way longer than we ever do this show for. So we should probably start wrapping it up. And I knew this was going to happen because PollyAnna is just my soul sister, and we always gather. But I have on another fantastic guest who is coming to us from, she's going to be in Europe, and she's traveling there from Jamaica, and she's been traveling all over the world. It's really fabulous and super excited to have her on. So next week, again, live 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Google it if you don't know what that is in other time zones, because I probably don't know. I screw that up all the time. But you guys for being here, and thank you, PollyAnna, for being our guest.
Having me. It was so much fun.
So much fun. All right. So everybody take care, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Finish. All right. Let me just kick everything out of here. Whoa. Don't you freeze on me. Don't you freeze on me. Oh, did it kick me out? Yeah, it kicked me out.